What if the income you earn in a year could become your monthly income or even come from one aligned sale? It might sound bold, but it's more than possible. It's already happening for coaches, consultants, healers, service providers who are willing to shift how they think, how they lead, and show up in their business. In today's episode of the Unleash Your Ambition podcast, I sit down with Helena Pappez, a high ticket mentor and hypnotherapist who helps women transform their beliefs around money, leadership, so they can collapse their income timelines and get paid for the real transformational work they deliver. Buckle up. We're going deeper than strategies and surface level advice. This conversation is about the mindset shifts behind high ticket success, raising your rates without doubt or guilt, building a business that reflects your value without burnout, hustle, or social media algorithm chasing. And if you've been in my world for a while, you know I am anti-hustle, burnout, and social media algorithm chasing. So if you've ever thought, can I really charge that much? Or do I have to be someone I'm not to succeed? Then this episode will meet you where you are and challenge you to think bigger. All right, grab your pen, your paper, and your favorite drink and get the most out of this episode. Hello, Helena. Thank you so much for being on the Unleash Your Ambition podcast. Can you share who you are, what you do, and how you help people?
Hey, Stacie, thank you for this
Yeah.
opportunity. It's wonderful to finally connect with you.
Yes.
So, yeah, basically, I'm a high ticket mentor and some other things. I'm a neuro-linguistic reprogramming coach and hypnotherapist and also a heart healer as of lately. So, I bring a lot of different methods of work and make my own kind of thing. But basically, what we do is help people collapse their yearly income into their monthly income. And then what we try to do as well, if people are for that type of like high ticket offers, then we also help them, collapse that monthly income into like a one sale. So that's kind of like a process that people go through, maybe one, two, three different offers with me.
Thank you for sharing that. I've been in your orbit. We've been in each other's orbit
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
quite some time. So I'm really excited that we are doing this podcast today because there's just so much that we're going to talk about. And for those of you listening, I mean, we're going to go into the below the surface of
Yeah. High ticket, kind of the marketing and the
yes.
the the strategy, the bits, and why do you feel it's like important, the high ticket world and the work, and like why do you believe that, that's kind of like what brings the better, kind of coaching or the better effect to the client? Why not low ticket?
This is a big one because I know there's some shifts that have to be made
Hmm.
in mindset and
For sure.
identity. I especially had to go through it because I just couldn't, years ago, I couldn't imagine someone paying me five figures
Yeah.
for my help. But like
Right.
now in hindsight, I'm like, of course they would because the work is
Mm.
transformational.
Mm.
The work goes much deeper than I guess what could even be explained to someone who has
Mm.
not enrolled yet. Like
Yeah.
even like once they enroll, they understand the value, but there's real work that begins behind the scenes, you know.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's
So,
kind of like very different from like what we sometimes experience when we enroll in something and it's like very shiny and very like blah 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 and blah blah blah, like, right? And then you enroll and then you're met with like minimal kind of, client delivery or just people not being there as they promised that they would be, right? Like,
mhm.
so being even coached or treated, by other employees, which I think is just like it's a very terrible idea for the coaching business or the mentoring business or whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lacks integrity.
Very much so. And I'm pretty sure that influenced your decision to do the work that you do because of the
Mm.
gaps that you saw,
Yeah.
um, from enrolling in other people's coaching programs or just observing,
Yeah.
what we see, what
Yeah.
message is being sent out to the ether about like how to build a business that's aligned. Helena, I want you to go into like the mindset side of things because I know there's some
Mhm.
people that are watching and listening that could be thinking, can I charge premium or it's going to be harder? I mean, I know there's
Mm.
so many thoughts, beliefs
Yeah,
that can
beliefs.
stop
Yeah.
us,
Mm.
from taking the leap to
Yeah.
turn, what was your term that you said, your yearly income into your
Yeah.
monthly income?
So yeah, basically it kind of like this was kind of like this was the result, the outcome that came through my work. Like of course I had a mentor who was like, seeing this and like blah blah blah. But I'm like, let me see what actually works because I'm not interested in your ideas or that person's ideas. Like I'm actually interested in what works for my client and what works. I know it's going to be very different to some degree for sure because nobody, I don't like to be treated as, oh, just one off. Like I hate that feeling. Like I just think it's just so disrespectful and lacks any like understanding of human psychology or just how, people want to be treated. And it really doesn't matter whether you decide you want to be charging, $50 or it's like 50,000. Like it really doesn't matter to me. But if I'm not being treated the same, like then it becomes a problem for me, right? And so if people are being disrespectful to somebody, I remember I was having this like New York, she was a teacher, so her yearly was most likely, I don't know, 40, 60, 50-ish and 70 maybe at that point. And then she was like, she was tired of the system and she was tired of being treated the way that they were treating her. She was tired of this. She was a great teacher, right? But they didn't see her, they didn't appreciate her. So she made this like step into, okay, let me see what coaching is. And she did a couple of like coaching programs and whatnot. And then she heard of her friend, who had like 100K leap with me. And she was like, what is this? Like, how is this even doable, possible? And I'm always like, why is this such a big thing, for women? Why is this always such a, oh my God, like I cannot, like, and blah, blah, blah. And, there's like massive transformations and fears and beliefs and family limitations from I don't want my aunts to see me that I'm posting something for like like and I was just like but it's real like it's all valid but it was like really like that's like where you're gonna stop like your aunt is not supposed to see your post about your pricing like it was just so many hurdles, right? And it was amazing to see, okay, and then, we resolved this one and then this one, and then this is where you need to have a self-talk, and this is da da da. So it was a lot of coaching, there was a lot of steps, but at the end of the day, I could help see this amazing teacher who was also doing women groups and then who was also doing some type of like just kind of like events and but it was the whole kind of just not seeing how important this was and then seeing this all of this and even her yoga days and this and that and I don't know, all of it was just kind of like, hey, this is actually, it totally makes sense. And I think she created, it was 10K-ish program. It was like a group program. And then also her one-on-one, of course, because she would feel with the whole momentum, she could just all of a sudden, of course, see. And with all the work that we did, of course, like she was just really depreciating herself and it was just really silly.
Yeah.
So the math, the logic needed to come in, but also hey, this is a real kind of like, this is the impact that you're actually doing. And
Mhm.
then she collapsed her yearly into like a couple of months. And after that, soon, she had her first 20K month. And she was just like, oh my, like it just felt, it was so easy compared to struggling and overthinking and trying to please every client who was like just there for maybe even like a free advice sometimes, like we've all been there.
Yeah.
People who are just kind of like, I'm not sure, but it's like, yeah, but then it's your homework to be sure. It's not my homework to convince anybody,
Right.
right? We are
Yeah.
here to educate. Like we have like years of online content that it's
Hmm.
free or live events and you do podcasts like this is all for people to get educated, right? And then I'm like, you have
Right.
to do your homework before you talk to me.
Absolutely. I want to talk about this and then we'll circle back around.
Yeah.
But yes, about like the people that work with you have to make the empowered decision, have to do the research.
Yeah, they do.
Otherwise, if you're thinking that you need to handhold everyone, well, guess what's going to happen?
No.
You're going
And
to
we
have
did that
people.
in the beginning a little
Yeah,
bit because
yeah,
you're told, this is something that could work and da da da. And of course, we're
Yeah.
like empaths.
I really never like the hand holding, and I let people know up front when I have conversations with them just to make sure, like you got to do the work. We're definitely in a relationship, a business
For
relationship, and I want to
sure.
help you,
For
but
sure. Yeah.
I'm not going to micromanage you. I'm not
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you are a capable human being. Like if you're going to work with me, I'm not coddling you. And it doesn't.
This is the biggest difference, sorry,
Mhm.
between somebody who is like a true mentor, coach, whatever, because you want to be creating individuals.
Right.
You want to be helping her to become the CEO that she wants to be. And for that, she needs to be making those hard decisions.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
first
So,
one is, investing. And that's all the mindset work that people are doing. And then they're like, well, how will I ever sell? And I'm like, just remember, a month ago or 2 months ago, you were selling yourself into, let's say, 25K program with me.
mhm.
What was the work that you did? What
Right.
was all the questions? What was all the doubting in self? Like,
Hmm.
what was all the like, and you did that.
Yeah.
You already made your first five-figure sale to yourself,
Yes.
basically. And then they're
I-
like, oh,
Yeah.
yes, that's how it
Yeah.
works. There's a
Hmm.
reason for the high ticket, right? Because it immediately you go in your own mind, I should be charging that too. And it's there for that reason.
Right. Oh my goodness. I remember when I invested in my first mentor and it's 5 figures. I thought I was going to have a heart attack,
Yeah.
but I was like, you know what? I'm going to make this work. No matter what, I'm going to make this work. And then yes, the belief came in like, well, if she can charge that much, why
Exactly.
can't I? Because
Exactly.
once I got into the container,
Yeah.
I could see how she was transforming people and having
Yeah.
them become better leaders and
Yeah.
having them make better decisions that are aligned with, the life that they want to create for themselves. It's her belief system, and it
Yeah.
was something
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
I wasn't solid in then.
100%.
Yeah.
It's always, right? It's always
Yeah.
about the belief. You can
Yeah.
call it faith, but I'm not religious in that sense,
Hmm.
but I do. I practice faith every day.
Yeah.
Like faith is something that needs to happen for me, building this, invisible bridge towards
Hmm.
that. Like it's all about basically working on the belief. And then, because people are like, why can't I be, like making eight fig you can.
Yeah.
But it's really up to you. It's not up to me.
Yes.
Because you can get a system that is going to be brilliant. It's really not so much about the systems
Right.
anymore. You can just like buy something, it's not going to be even that much. And then, but it's all about showing up, having
Hmm.
the energy, having the belief, working like it's, making the sales, doing the
Yes.
whatever, being extraordinary in your own way or just being authentic, like, but it's definitely the belief work
Oh
that
yeah, the
everybody
belief work.
struggles with. Yeah.
Another thing that I've seen come up is like a shift in the coaching industry where people are
Mm,
just being more themselves instead of thinking
mm,
like they have to show up in a certain way in order to
yeah.
get the results. One of the big things that I see is like people basically chasing the trends on social media, the
Mm,
algorithms,
mm,
doing things that they just wouldn't normally do
hmm.
just for the sake of feeding the algorithm, which
Yeah.
can be a tireless cycle,
Yeah.
or people won't, or there's some people who think they have to do certain things in order to get a certain result because
Mm,
this person over here did it and they're not necessarily aligned with,
mm.
their personality, their
Yeah.
their mission, their vision, just
Yeah.
who they are to the core.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's kind of like almost like selling your soul for the algorithm, for just not really being comfortable in their own skin, basically.
Yeah.
And I want to know your thoughts around this.
When I invested in some of the major kind of programs, it was like high five ticket, and it was
Hmm.
kind of like the last one that I did. This was, but I always go, and then when you make friends and you have other people who are in there, and then
Hmm.
I'm always the one who's like, hey, how are you doing? Are you doing any sales? Is this thing working for you? Do you see any different, like, because of course there's like wonderful tools. You invest in them and then you know you see you want to see some like changes and stuff. But yeah, often people don't. And I'm like you know, I often wonder, I'm like, why? Like because it's really and then it's like, yeah, it's like I can see it's like 0.5% of people who are very much aligned with the creator of the program or method of work. And they're like either, you know, very outgoing, very extroverty, very like, you know, alpha, like blah blah blah. And they don't, you know, either that and then they have those, you know, crazy, you know, quantum leaps, whatever, you know, just results because they hustle and they're good at that. Or they're just, yeah, they're just like aligning with, yeah, the leader and they're like, you know, this is the energy that they want to be in. And it's like more comfortable for them to, I don't know, get naked on, like, it's, I don't know, I don't understand that. Like, I'm like, as if I would ever come to like therapist office or like my coach and she would be like half naked on a sofa or like, you know, sorry, in a jacuzzi. And I'm just, it's, that never happens. Like, why are people, it's, I don't sign up. Like, I think yeah. But it's a thing, and many people fall for it because it's a specific type of marketing that, you know, does kind of lures into, oh, like they're living such a good life and it's such a, you know, wonderful life that they're living. But again, you know, you have to ask, like, does that align with you? Is that who you are? If you're like introverted, kind of single mom who loves her like, you know, space, like I don't think it's you're going to be benefiting a lot, you know, from kind of exposing yourself to the, you know, bikini. Like I just,
Yeah, I get what you mean.
it's just the marketing for the sake of, yeah, creating the attention and the, you know, the big kind of the show and the allure. And then there is marketing that is actually educating and it's, you know, it's actually speaking to people and it's not just the hype.
Yeah, I was wondering your thoughts on that because, I know that you come from a place of authenticity.
Mm-mm.
Um, you're not showboating. You don't need to. Some people feel they have to do that to get the results. And
Mm.
yeah, I guess it can work.
I
Yeah,
mean,
of course it
sure. Like
can.
if you're like a sex coach or intimacy coach, I'm
Yeah,
like, you know, go for it. Or like if you want to show me some specifics about womb healing, go for it. But
right.
then those type of people, they do this very differently. It's
Hmm.
done very pristine. It's done very, you know, like there it is, you know, and this is the thing. And I'm not against that. I mean, I used to
Yeah.
work with bodies. Like I'm familiar with that. But it's just like, I don't like when people, you know, specifically women, when they use their bodies to create, you know,
Yeah. Yeah, I
business.
agree. I agree. So the way that you operate is just very different, and it should be. Of course it is. And I think the thing that was alluring to me that attracted me to
Mhm.
you and your message and who you are is just, of course, your confidence.
Mm,
You have an aura of certainty. And I know that
mm.
you've done a lot of work. You've helped many people
Yeah.
over the years, to get to that point.
But
But
that's what
I,
some people don't understand
mhm,
sometimes, I feel, you know, because how can
mhm.
you be confident if you haven't done, you know, confidence for me, I feel is a result of the results, basically,
Yes.
that, you know, of the work and the results and the actual, whether it's a sale or an actual client who signs up your 80K contract, like
Hmm.
then you have this, oh, then it's like embodied. Oh, I'm being seen, I'm being appreciated, but it's also scary every time you're up level, of course, because you're like, you know, am I going to be able to deliver this? Like, you know,
Right.
what is this? You know, how is this going to work? So I'm always like, you know, I want to be like 5 steps ahead of everything happening, you know, but yeah, sometimes you just have to be, and if you have a good supporting system, which I feel a lot of women still think is like it's such a luxury, and it's really not.
Right.
It's really like you should be supported, and you should have whether it's an accountant that it's really good, you know, whether it's a VA that is really support, like all of the people I feel around the business should be really supportive and
Mm.
really cheering you up, you know, because not many friends right now actually understand what I do, or
Yeah.
like, you know, they just kind of support you because it's
Hmm.
you and they love you and whatever, but
Yeah.
they don't necessarily understand what you're trying to achieve. What is your kind of like goal or kind of like what are you going after in the next level of your business or
I have the freedom. I got that in the bag.
mm,
Um, I think the shift though is now that my youngest is getting older, like there's more things that need his attention, which you would think it'd be the
yeah.
opposite. But
No.
right? Yeah.
Teenagers, yeah.
Yeah. So, he has speech therapy. He's getting ready to do this like outdoor enrichment program. He goes
Mm,
to swim school. So
yeah.
of course, I have a spacious calendar, but I want to create a little bit more space and three
Mm,
times my income. So
okay.
instead of working 4 days a week, three.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
been working on it, but I have not nailed it yet.
Yeah. You haven't made the decision and the like the yeah.
It's just the harmonizing the schedules that has been the
Yeah.
most challenging, which is okay. I always figure out a way around it, but my vision around it
Mm,
looks so much different than what it is right now. And I know they will line up. It's just a
yeah.
matter of okay, when is that rhythm gonna come? Another thing, I've just been kind of playful with I know when I made my intentions for this year, I decided, okay, I'll be working with this many clients to meet my baseline and play with other things. And one of my biggest ones for this year was just to connect with more people. I there's people in my life, like people, I mean, my past clients, we talk all the time, but
Mm,
I just wanted some more expansion with the people that I connect with. Around the world because last year
yeah. Yeah.
I accidentally I shouldn't even say accidentally I isolated myself and
Yeah.
it had an effect on me
Mm,
and I made the intention this year like just continue to connect with people because that's what fills me up. I love connecting
yeah.
with people.
Yeah.
Even though I'm introverted, it doesn't mean that I don't love connecting with
Me
people.
too.
I got to
But
be
I love
closer.
like deep talk and connection and
Yes.
people who get it and people who have done,
Yes.
similar or different things, like, right? Like
Right,
just what
right.
are we talking? Like, because sometimes, and also the business can feel so lonely,
Yeah.
when you're just working this and this, like, because it's not like when you have like a team and you're working with them and you have like a team of like five, people like that you see daily. So in that sense, I totally get it for sure. And I feel
Yeah.
many people have been self-isolating this kind of last year and two.
Yeah, and I don't like that. I don't like I mean, I love my space, like I love my time, I love my quiet. I take nature walks for hours, out in the wilderness in the mountains, but
That's wonderful. Yeah.
humans got to connect with other humans.
Yeah, they
But
do.
I'm very mindful of like who I interact with online,
Mm,
offline. I have
yeah,
to make sure they're not energy vampires because that drains me. So, for, this year, I was just like, I really want to, and these are both connected, like just have interesting conversations with people that I'm genuinely interested in
hmm,
and record some of those conversations, not all of them but record some
yeah,
of them and share them with people because a lot of people just don't know what goes on behind the scenes.
yeah. They
And
don't.
and I think it's helpful to share those things because like I don't like to just share my highlight reels.
Mm.
It's just not realistic. And
No, it's not.
and the person receiving that might feel, I mean, I know it's on that person, but they might feel a certain way.
Mm.
And I don't want to give anyone a facade, so to speak.
Hmm.
So I
Hmm.
like to share it all. I like to lay it all out.
Yeah.
Even though I'm
Mm.
successful, I experienced this. Even though I'm successful, I isolated myself and now I'm doing what I can to make sure that doesn't happen again,
Mm.
which I've committed to the podcast, starting my YouTube channel, making sure, I'm connecting with people,
Yeah,
even
yeah,
when I don't feel like it necessarily,
yeah,
but I'm always
yeah.
glad that I do. Yeah, always glad. So those are my main things. I mean, I'm solid with,
Quite a thing, no? Like to start
yeah,
your own podcast and have this commitment and be like
yeah,
speaking to people and preparing everything. Like it's quite a commitment. So,
hmm
good for you. Like,
yeah.
right? Like, we've been talking about it with my team for ages, but I'm just like, I don't know, like it's a lot of hustle, and right now, like I was just not in a position for the last 2 years,
Right.
but
And
I'm like,
you'll
it's
know.
very cool. It's very cool. I love it. I would love to just do it. But if everybody else would just do the everything
Yeah, well,
else.
you're doing it right now, so that's a great way for you to do it
Yeah, yeah,
until,
for sure.
if and when the time comes, you're ready
Yeah.
to, do it.
And
But
if
in the
not, then
meantime,
it's like, yeah, it's like just be a guest. And I'm like, yeah, but it's so easy. Like we got so many people are looking and, wanting to connect and wanting to talk. But
mhm,
for some reason, I was also very specific. I don't know. This year, just like, you know, I'm very selective as well.
mhm.
Who I talk to, who I hang out with and whatnot. And if it's not just the right vibe, then I just prefer to be alone for
Yeah,
now.
absolutely.
That's like that's where we at, right? But it's
Yes.
like, hanging out with my daughter, she swims too, so
Oh,
it's like 4 times a week and
mhm.
da-da-da. So yeah. Very
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Helena, I would love for you to share where people can connect with you outside of the
Sure,
podcast.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have Facebook and Instagram, Helena Pappez. We're quite, active daily. And then there's like a Facebook group, which is
Mhm.
very private, it's very intimate, which is called High End State of Mind. And that's about it for now, I
Yeah.
feel. But also have been just kind of like really loving this, podcasting. So we're definitely going to be doing more of that.
Yes, I want you to come back because I know there's more that we can talk about. So, final words of wisdom for the person who cannot imagine earning five figures in a month, a day, hours. What would you say to that person?
That it all starts with imagining it and then like putting all that, turning the non-believing part into the believing part. And there's of course steps to it. I mean, it's not that difficult, but it is because you just need to be mindful that you're basically creating a different belief and something that is like more aligned with where you desire and you actually need to be, because otherwise we're just like cheating ourselves and we're just like, we're not being paid appropriately for things that we're actually delivering, and that's just sad. And it's not really serving anybody, It's not serving our families, it's not serving yourself. And by the end of the day, it creates, big discrepancies in, our paychecks, basically, compared to other people. And the belief if we're like worthy or not, that's something that, yeah, that can go really deep, so there's like there can be also some wounds there for sure. There is like societal, there's this the gender, there is the whole kind of like what is your story type of thing, but that's all something that with a properly, like with guidance, you can actually kind of and kind of transform this in a matter of basically just like a couple of sessions and then doing the work.